One. Here we are, guys. We're getting color. We're live, baby, live with my co-host with the most, a good-looking dude who's got attitude. He's got his new hoodie on, sunglasses, and a cap. The guy who takes guff from Aaron Riff because he doesn't produce anything for us. I mean, he treats us like garbage. The one, the only Virtue. Virtue, another getting color here right before Christmas. How are you doing, my man? I hope everything is good. Merry Christmas to you and the family. Virtue, bring it at me. Tell me what you got.
Hey, what's up? Welcome to Getting Color edition 2 for today, this week. And I have to follow Ben Hameen. God, Vito, what kind of pressure are you putting on me, man? But you know what? That's okay because we're going to do that. Vito, it's going great. I'm looking at NFL scores.
Oh, boy.
As we speak.
My favorite time.
Because tonight, when we're done, I'll be watching the Browns at the New York Giants. Big game for both teams because obviously the Browns lost a nail-biter. You could say it was a heartbreaker to the Ravens last Monday.
Right.
The Giants, I think if they win tonight, they're in first because everybody else keeps losing in that division. So, Giants, it's a big game tonight for both teams. Who's going to win?
Now, I'm going to tell you, I think Daniel Jones is not playing tonight, so it's a 50-50 on the Giants. If they could pick up the slack and win. Did Washington lose today? Did they lose?
Yes, they did. They lost to Seattle. And the Cowboys won.
No way.
But the Philly lost. So that division still stinks. The leading team is going to be 6-8, no matter what happens after tonight.
We said 6 wins is going to win the division. 6 wins is going to do it. Virtue, we are on top of our game. Run down the scores today. I actually watched after the gym. I watched the second half, a little bit of first half, but the second half of the Tampa Bay Bucks game. I was impressed with Tom Brady. He threw for almost 400 yards in the second half.
They came back
and won. That was a huge victory for them.
Yeah, Tampa Bay beat the Falcons. Matt Ryan, they were dominating that first half and kind of like against that Super Bowl against Brady and the Patriots where they got crushed in the second half by Tom Brady. Guess what happens today? The Buccaneers come back and win this game. So Matt Ryan cannot beat Tom Brady in the second half, I guess.
And Matt Ryan had a great game.
He did.
He almost passed for 400 yards. I think he had 3 touchdowns. He did an awesome job. But Tom Brady turned it on so good. When you throw for 400 yards in the second half of the game, he wound up for 450 or 435 yards total.
He hit Antonio Brown for a long touchdown, too.
I saw that, and Antonio Brown is back. Guys, that is a weapon. Gronkowski is a weapon. Tom Brady and them are clicking offensively. It takes them a little bit to get motivated, but they're here, people.
Now, Drew Brees got a slow start today because he was coming back off that rib injury. It is now 32-29 Chiefs at the 2-minute warning. And the Chiefs have the ball, so there's going to need to be a couple of stops here by the Saints. But still, Brees just basically did a comeback here to make it close in the fourth quarter.
No, Drew Brees, I don't know how he did it, but I tell you what, the Chiefs are a team to be reckoned with, and they are the people's champ right now, and I think they're going to go strong into this playoffs. But Drew Brees is no slouch. Guy came back from 12 broken ribs?
Yeah, dude, he had a collapsed lung too.
And a collapsed lung. So, I mean, props to him. I hope they do something. But if they don't, what does that do for the division right now?
They're going to win it. I mean, and they beat Brady twice. The Saints, I think it's going to take, even if they lose tonight, if they don't come back and win this, Vito, they definitely have their division because they would be, well, never say never. There'll only be a game up on the Bucks. So the problem is if they tie, right? If they tie, it's going to go to the Saints. So, yes, Brady, they still can win the division, the Bucks, but, it's going to be tough. Now, are you ready for this score? I'm going to give you the points, and you tell me what game this was. See if you can guess. The winning team had 23, and the losing team had 20.
Tell me it was the Jets.
The New York Jets beat the Los Angeles Rams.
No way.
23-20. First win of the year. I had to bring that up. That's the main event of the football segment today.
So they finally, and were the Rams favored by a heavy score?
Yeah, I think it was double digits. Or
So
damn near close to it.
Does this hurt the Jets' draft position?
Well, Jacksonville lost, and they only got one win. So now you got two teams battling it out with a couple weeks left. I think those are the two worst teams in the league, Jacksonville and Jets. So, yeah, there you go. Both have one win after this week.
I just think that with the Jets winning, I'm going to tell everybody a little secret. I don't think Trevor Lawrence is coming out of college to play for the Jets.
Yeah, I mean, that happens. I remember, was it John Elway didn't want to play for a certain team, the Colts, and said he'd go play baseball, and the next thing you know, there was a trade, and he ended up on the Denver Broncos. I mean, that stuff happens. That's happened before.
It's Eli Manning. I think that happened too.
Yeah. There's multiple times that's happened.
Right.
Those were the big scores today. The Bears beat the Vikings.
Right.
The Dolphins beat the Patriots. So the Patriots, they're jobbing right now, right? The Ravens crushed Jacksonville as expected. So the Ravens are back looking good for a wild card spot. Tennessee Titans are rolling. They beat the Lions. The Colts still look good this year. They beat the Texans. And the update on the Chiefs game is 1st and 10. I think they might be able to run the clock out now. So it looks like the Chiefs are going to hold on.
All right. Now, that was the football scores. Let's turn our attention to basketball. Do we have any basketball news? Do we have any trades? And we have anything?
There's rumor of trades. Like I hear potential. What do you think if Kevin Love gets dealt to the Golden State Warriors? And I know. What's his name out the guard? Thompson, re-injured. He's out for the whole year. Well, you have Steph Curry and Kevin Love. Could they become a playoff team again? They should.
I think if Kevin Love went to the Warriors, but I think more importantly, if Andrew Wiggins went to Cleveland to play small forward, I think between Sexton, the other guard, and him, those guys can average 20 apiece with no problem.
Isn't it funny that they drafted the Cavs? Was it the Cavs? Who?
Yeah, it was the Cavs.
Yeah, because of the trade to bring Kevin Love to play with LeBron. So if he ended up back on the Cavs, that would be quite a story there with the younger team.
I think those three young guys together could be the next big young three. And I think it would be awesome. The Knicks, they just released three guys. They're getting down to the nitty-gritty here. They're looking at the number 25 pick that the kid who was drafted. I can't think of his name. Oakley. I'd have to look it up.
What's it this draft?
Yeah, he was the point guard, and he is doing some phenomenal things. And I think he might crack the starting lineup. And Kevin Knox looks like he's rejuvenated his career.
That might be good for them. And they got Barrett and Toppin. I mean, that's the future right there. I mean, that's what they're going to have to do is let the guys unleash those guys.
Now, baseball news, there hasn't been much movement. You know, Virtue, have they notified you to do the baseball fantasy camps yet?
No. I mean, I'm scrambling this week to try to get in a basketball one because that season's going to start soon. So I love my fantasy sports. I mean, I'm having a great time doing this football league that I'm coming down and maybe going to win some big bucks in this big league. So I love my fantasy sports, but I have not heard anything about baseball yet. Obviously, we got some time, but I don't know. You know, they're going to probably see how this pandemic goes with the vaccine, how the NBA is doing it after how they did it last year, and maybe some changes they might have made. So nothing. I have not heard anything from baseball, not even any of the big signings or trades or anything yet. Did I miss anything? Did you hear anything?
McCann signed with the Mets. Lamantio's still not with the Yankees.
No Springer signing yet, right?
No Springer signing yet.
Bauer. No Bauer.
No Bauer yet either. So they're talking about trades. They're talking about stuff. I'd like to see the Lindor trade come to fruition. All right. But I have a feeling he's going to wind up on a team that comes out of the woodwork, not the Mets, not the Yankees. He's going to go somewhere else.
I'm pretty confident the Tribe, the Indians, always will be. I don't no spiders, no Cleveland baseball team. Come on. I have a feeling, though, knowing the way that their front office has always worked, yeah, Lindor, they're going to try to get as much as they can for him because they know he's going to be getting A-Rod type shortstop money. Who's the guy who's the shortstop in San Diego that got big money?
No, I know who you're talking about. It's the rookie kid.
Well, no. He's God, I'm forgetting his name.
San Diego.
In San Diego, yeah. He played on Baltimore before. We can sit here and think of the Bryce Harpers, and we can sit here and think of the Mike Trouts, and now I'm having a brain. Manny, help me out here.
He's a third baseman.
Is he a third? Okay. He used to play some shortstop. Who am I thinking of, Vito? Why can't I think of his name? Because you got me thinking of Lindor now and A-Rod. Machado. Manny Machado. Sorry, Manny Machado. See what happens when you go to the market of San Diego? You're literally forgotten, even with your big monster contract. But they could be a good young team too.
All right, Virtue. We've had a lot of stuff going on. We've had Aaron Riff postings of little ponies and cats and nature, and with yourself and Noah Harlow and of course me knocking Aaron Riff and not paying attention to the No DQ crew. Did No DQ Aaron Riff send you a Christmas gift? He didn't send me one.
I got a T-shirt, a retro No DQ logo T-shirt that I've been asking for 2 years, and that's more or less he owed me for contributing to his site. So no, I didn't get anything for Christmas.
No, you know why you got that shirt? I'm going to spell it out for you. Because his girlfriend is moving in and they had to get rid of clutter. So why don't you get rid of this, Aaron, and clean out some stuff so I can move my stuff in? Makes me sick, disgusting. I can't take it. Virtue.
Hey, you're going to have something in the mail this week. Now, of course, knowing me, because I'm lazy and I send things out the week of Christmas, you might not get it until closer to New Year's, but it's going to be a little bit of a surprise, I think, when you get it. But anyway,
Virtue,
look forward to that.
Doing his thing here at the Big Vito brand. It's not like you're with those
guys.
No, hold on. It's not like you're with those guys, at the what is it, the tragedy show with Angel from the Baldies, who I happened to get a job at, the Russo brand. You think he'd send me anything, a fruit basket, a new walker for my wife, anything? No, he didn't send nothing. Nothing, not a
God,
thing.
I could even send you a walker. I got a couple of those.
Yeah, you got a couple of them, but these people, I've gotten more jobs for people than the mafia, and I don't get nothing for fucking Christmas for nobody.
So people are waiting for us to talk about wrestling. You and I could talk about sports and anything else. I almost wanted to say no wrestling this week like I've been doing on the other show and talking Christmas stuff, but I know people want to hear it, and if I'm going to post this on NoDQ.com on Mondays,
right,
got to have some wrestling content. So are you ready?
I am ready. And also, before you even go, I know you're writing another great article, that you've been publishing every week. And where are you publishing that article every week?
Well, it's on NoDQ.com under the opinion sections as Virtue's Rage. I'm currently in the middle of one with several drafts. I've had to tweak it a little bit because I've heard this guy, CM Punk's recent interview with Renee Young on her podcast, and boy, did I have to change some things because he's definitely putting possibilities and feelers out there, but it's always there. You know what I mean? He just got tired of the wrestling business. So that's our number one topic. Well, I'm not going to elaborate on what I'm going to write about. It will be posted. It will be posted before Christmas.
Okay.
But besides Brock Lesnar, who you and I always say business wants to boom, you bring Brock back and put him in a feud. At least you got a big main event feud. Besides him, who does WWE, and we're going to specifically say WWE, need the most? And I have people, guys and girls. CM Punk I just mentioned. That's more so. That's a tough one because it's a two-way street there. Rousey, Becky Lynch, Charlotte, all three of them at some point, will be back, or anybody else. If you, Big Vito, had to pick one that's not named Brock Lesnar, who could do the best business right now in the state WWE is in?
Ronda Rousey.
I like that answer. Now, of course, I'm going to ask you to elaborate.
Ronda Rousey brings an element to the WWE as a tough chick who comes and kicks ass. All right. She brings her MMA background, her MMA legacy with her. She proved that she can be the best in WWE before taking a hiatus. And when she comes back, the needle is going to move again. I personally think she could wipe out the current women's division. Sasha Banks and Carmella are wrestling tonight. She could dethrone both of those. I mean, there isn't really a woman who can, handle her one-on-one. So that's my opinion. Ronda Rousey moves the needle. Ronda Rousey, The Rock. Ronda Rousey, Stephanie McMahon. You want to know something? Stephanie McMahon doesn't get enough credit in some things, but she is one hell of a wrestler. She's a natural. And when she is put into match status, she does go above and beyond, and she competes.
Who you talking about, Stephanie?
Yes, for Stephanie.
All the McMahon. I mean, even Vince. Vince, Shane, and Stephanie are trained to a point, but they're not full-time workers of career. Right. They're the bosses. But each one of them, yes, can hold their own. I mean, absolutely. I agree with that.
Natural. So if you say, who do we got to bring back? I think a feud between Ronda Rousey and Stephanie McMahon would move the needle to where it could main event WrestleMania.
It's going to take Ronda Rousey because since she's been gone, the women aren't even sniffing the main event, or let alone having their own pay-per-view, which Sasha Banks, let's have Evolution 2. Everybody tweet Vince McMahon saying you want it. Okay, you want Evolution 2? Get Ronda Rousey to come back, and then I bet you will see it. Just saying.
We will see it. Now, getting back to our old nemesis, Nia Jax, have we seen any TikToks lately?
No. I mean, I haven't been looking for them, but I have not seen any. And they kind of stopped the table gimmick with Lana, and they're letting Lana get her comeuppance lately. What do you think about that?
I think it's awesome that Lana took the medicine for Miro, which nobody thought that would happen, but it did. It's just the WWE culture. But I'm happy for Lana that she didn't cry, she didn't complain, she did her job. Now she's going to reap the benefit.
She did cry, by the way. She did some podcasts where she got weepy-eyed and said she had, social anxiety and mental health issues. But
she's had that all along. She was always kind of like half cuckoo. But, I mean, you've seen that on the Bella Twins, and you've seen that on the other reality show she was on. She was kind of cray-cray.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So,
Miro, but
nothing
she's
new.
hot. She's hot.
No, she's a good-looking lady. There's no doubting she's a nice-looking lady. I just don't appreciate what the WWE did to their marriage and made, when her going to bed and dating Bobby Lashley with Miro, that it was disgusting because you don't do that to families. You don't do that to your marriage.
So you pick, great insight as always, Vito. You picked Rousey. I couldn't, other than Lesnar, and those are the 1A, the 1B. And then, of course, Becky and Charlotte, they're like lifers. Becky taking a lifetime out right now for her baby, but you got to think at some point she'll come back for one more run, even if it's a short run.
What is she still? Why is she out? She had surgery. She had,
Who are you talking about?
Charlotte Flair.
Okay, so Becky's out because of the baby. You knew that with Seth. And then Charlotte, I believe she had surgery. I want to say she had to get some work done here for whatever reason. I'm not exactly 100% sure on that, but I do know it was to get healthy. And that's exactly what she's doing. And probably because it's a pandemic, why not take some time off? So she should be due back. She might even be coming back tonight or at the Royal Rumble next month. That's what I think.
Now, Virtue, I have something that would really make you wonder and make you really make TV and go see TV, and it would draw ratings.
Okay.
I happened to talk to Vickie Guerrero on Twitter today, and she was talking about doing some conquito with Nyla Rose. Okay,
she's her manager, in AEW. Yep.
Now, what would you say to a threesome of Vickie Guerrero, Nyla Rose, and Vito wearing their dress in AEW?
Dude, I'd be all for that. I mean, come on. I'm a big, like you and Vickie don't have to sell me, okay? Vickie is one of the greatest manager, GM mouthpieces in the last decade to 15 years, and really stepped up when Vince said, hey, I'll help you out, because Eddie passed away. I'll help your family out, but you got to work for it. And she did that. She even went and she went and got a degree in something outside of the wrestling business. So that, to me, strong, independent woman. Vickie Guerrero is a legend. Anything she does in wrestling, I will be behind. Now, so I guess I would get behind it. Even if I'm not sold on Nyla Rose, you and Vickie would have to sell me on Nyla Rose.
But you talk about Vito in a dress, Nyla Rose in her situation, and Vickie Guerrero. That would be probably one of the most powerful threesomes in wrestling. And you would watch if they did let us do vignettes.
Yeah, you'd have to. And that's interesting that you said an AEW over WWE.
Because that's where they are. And if I had I would be willing to come and do this if I could do it in the right perspective. So AEW fans and anybody listening, Vito in a dress with Nyla Rose and Vickie Guerrero, I'm all down for it.
Stay tuned, folks. You never know. Speaking of AEW, so they had the Sting pop, right? And the Kenny Omega, Don Callis pop that first week. Impact, went over 200,000 viewers. Their Twitch viewers were at 50,000. Dynamite was just under 1 million. Obviously, Sting had a lot to do with that. And guess what? This past week,
go ahead.
Impact back down under to 180,000. Their Twitch was down to 13,000. And Dynamite was down to 800,000. Is the bloom already off the rose? All Sting is doing is showing up, more or less waving to Darby Allin and Cody and leaving every week. Aren't you supposed to carry things with momentum to try to keep moving the needle up?
I am going to say this, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart. Kenny Omega, you waited your whole career to be the man on national TV worldwide. And what are you? You are the middleman slumped in the middle, no suit, no nothing. You're bringing J-Bos with you. Don Callis doesn't belong in your world. You're talking about the old guard of the Bullet Club with Gallows and Anderson. It is not their time. This is Kenny Omega time, where you get from here, where you're sitting, and you rise above everybody else. You're supposed to come in a suit. You're supposed to be that guy. You're supposed to have that Ric Flair effect. You look like the middleman and the cash register guy at Walmart. You don't have no pizzazz, no oomph, no it. You're not the it factor. That's why the WWE passed on you, and they were 100% right. Virtue. Am I wrong?
There is this infomercial I wake up to on one of the channels because, I'm watching the Christmas movies. I fall asleep at night. I forget to put my TV on to shut off. And I wake up at 4 or 5 in the morning when my dog gets me up to go outside and he wants to eat. And there's those cooking infomercials, whatever. I've seen sex toy infomercials on there. The cooking one has a guy that looks like, I don't know his name, but he looks like a fatter older brother of Kenny Omega. He's got more charisma and pizzazz selling that oven thing than Kenny Omega on an infomercial. Seriously, that's my point.
I hate it so much that Kenny Omega puts himself as the middle guy and lets everybody jump on his bandwagon, especially Don Callis. Hey, brother. Don Callis never fucking moved a needle on nothing.
The Jackal, the Truth Commission, WWE, the oddities.
Nothing. Dead in the water. You're not even Skull Von Crush material. You're below that.
Hey, the ratings have already started dipping back down for the hot angles and the appearances by Sting for Impact and obviously AEW. So, way to go, Tony Khan. Way to mail it in.
Okay. Now,
whatever
if
the term
advertise Sting, let me just say this.
Okay.
If they advertise Sting in the beginning of the show, he came on at 9 o'clock, and he made an appearance at the 10 o'clock hour, you would get viewers because they want to see what Sting's going to do. I know it's one man and he's pulling the wagon, but Jericho is not focused. He's in a group. He's buried with all these guys.
Yeah.
Jericho is the 9 o'clock guy. That MJF, he's still the middle of the road. There are no superstars to carry a company. You have to advertise Sting. You have to. Now, you want to know something funny? They have Billy Gunn there, right? Billy Gunn is the biggest.
Pictures of him recently. Holy man.
Right.
I don't know if he's in a bodybuilding contest or what, but Jesus, he looks like Schwarzenegger from the 80s or 70s.
He looks awesome, right? He is probably the best worker, has the most charisma, has done everything. Now, if his partner from the WWE ever got released and he got signed to AEW, oh my God. The people would tune in and it would be off the hook. The people would watch.
I mean, it's going to take stuff like that, and I just don't know if, like Mr. Vince Russo calls Tony Khan a little big league. Yeah, you may have the money, but do you have the experience and knowledge?
Tony Khan tries, right? You can
say that.
He tries, and this is something good to say about AEW, okay? Tony Khan tries, but he is the Dixie Carter of our era. He tries. He invested in a business he did not grow up in. He put his money in there because he's a fan. Yeah. He got the ear of Cody Rhodes and a bunch of the other guys. They played him up. Everybody there is there to collect a paycheck. But if you had to use Dean Malenko, Arn Anderson, Jake the Snake, Taz, Jerry Lynn, Billy Gunn, and go back to Wrestling 101, your product would soar. Right now, it's 50 high spots. Nobody's selling. I don't know how these guys sit through this being from 30 years ago. Tell me.
And they love what it is. And from hearing Cornettes and the Russos, the people that I grew up watching their on-screen stuff, or their writing, their booking, and that's kind of what I reflect to what was good to me. And then I hear their experiences. Tony Khan is just there because he's a fan and he's happy he has the money to be able to do it. And therefore the wrestlers know this, and they're working him. I mean, you could say wrestlers worked Vince McMahon all these years too. Well, Vince McMahon took his dad's company and turned it into a $1 billion corporation. Okay. Tony Khan is playing right now. It doesn't even look like he's trying to. They're happy with these numbers, and like Disco, I think Disco Inferno said, when was wrestling back in the day when they were comparing ratings? They weren't comparing demos when it was WWE, WWF versus WCW. They were comparing total viewers. They were comparing, 5 million to 4 million, or 4.6 million to 3.8 million. They weren't comparing small percentages of these demos, 18 to 34s.
No, you're right. 100%.
So I don't know. And I look, I know I'm getting a lot of heat lately on NoDQ.com for bashing AEW. I keep saying, and I think people ignore it, the AEW sympathizers. I enjoyed the first several months of AEW up till about the new year. When Jericho was champion, they had the MJF and Cody feud. I was enjoying that. Then Tony Khan publicly, or at least let the dirt sheets spill the beans. Hey, I'm starting to get more involved with creative. This happened around January. And I think even though there's a pandemic and we can throw excuses out there, AEW has been a shit show in 2020. And I'm going to blame Tony Khan. That's it. Just my opinion.
Your opinion. Don't hold it. Now let's switch to the WWE. And the big thing going on right now is that Vince McMahon is sending his guys back to the Performance Center. Now, I'm going to tell you something, okay? Otis and the other kid, right? Keith Lee. They look like they put on 30 or 40 pounds in their gut. They look disgusting. They need to go wrestle 5, 6, 7 days a week. They need to be at the training center. They're not pros. And when you have Keith Lee doing planches and that's not a big man. It's disgusting. I hate the way they're doing things.
No, I mean, even when Bam Bam was agile, he still sold himself as a big man. Vader still sold himself as a big man. Yokozuna, they all were still big men, even if they were agile for big men. Even John Tenta, they were agile, but they didn't do ridiculous moves. Come on now.
Yeah, but they were in some kind of shape. You look at Otis. He looks like he put on 40 pounds in his stomach. It's disgusting. Yeah, I made it to the WWE. Otis, you're in your 20s or 30s. You're supposed to be an Adonis. You're supposed to look good. If I could take off my shirt and look 10 times better than you, 20 times better than you, and I'm who I am, and at the point of my life who I am, you should be ashamed of yourself.
And Vader, he was in the best shape of those big guys that I just mentioned from the past. Now, obviously, Yokozuna ballooned up, but that was his gimmick, sumo wrestler. Earthquake was huge, but he was Earthquake. They had the gimmicks to back it up. They weren't just John Tenta, like Keith Lee. So, yeah, they should be in shape.
No, you're right. What else we got?
Go ahead. Record low ratings for Monday Night Raw. This past,
give it to
Monday.
me. What are the numbers, big
it
man?
Was 1.53 million people, or 1.57 million people. Now, yes, AEW Dynamite on Wednesday night, and their Wednesday night bubble against the minor league NXT did have a higher demo their night than the demo rating that Raw had Monday, but they still weren't going up against each other. So the Dirt Sheets and the Dave Meltzers and the Brian Alvarez's were just saying, oh, AEW finally beat Raw. Okay, they're bragging. First of all, it's not the same night. Second of all, they're bragging that AEW beats Raw when Raw's at a record low. You shouldn't brag. Like, if Raw was doing its old school numbers and then you got close to Raw, then you brag. You don't brag when the main competition in your mind has its record low. So, dude, Raw's struggling right now, man.
Okay, I'm going to put this out there, and I'm going to put this out there for the fans. Guys, I'm going to give you a test. I want you guys to go back to the Monday Night Raws when Von Krust and Vito Cruz was on TV. I want the ratings from those days, okay? Now, I was a regular on the TV, so let's see what the ratings are being Von Krust, Vito Cruz, being the Skullster.
Someone will get – we'll get those exact numbers. We'll have to find those exact episodes you were on and see what the millions of people were. But I already know off the top of my head, without knowing the exact figures, they were higher than they are now.
Not because it's – you know what? Because that's when wrestling was wrestling. And then if you go back and watch TNA stuff with Big Vito and you go watch WCW stuff with Big Vito, they blow these numbers out of the water.
So it's interesting, Vito. I mean, they just – SmackDown's holding its own, but it's still only barely over 2 million. And that's with Roman Reigns and being on Fox readily. To me, Friday nights was never the wrestling night. So,
no, it's not.
Like if the SmackDown was featured on Fox on Monday nights, I would probably think it should be higher than 2 million. But they're holding their own, at least, where it's not bleeding. I've always said Roman keeps the bleeding at bay, if not raises it a little bit. And he's exactly done that since he's been back. But he's not, it's not getting up to those numbers of the past, obviously. And I don't know what WWE has to do that. Revamp.
Here we have ratings from 2000. Okay.
Well, you'd have to go back to the early 90s for your.
Go back to the early 90s. Can you find the early 90s?
No specific.
It's not there. But the early 2000s.
2000 was 5.88 average.
5.88 million people.
Nuts. Isn't that nuts? I mean, that's just unfathomable. And there's going to be people that say, well, okay, everybody watches wrestling different today. They don't watch it live on TV because they can catch clips on Twitter, clips on YouTube, or DVR it. And I know sometimes when you DVR things, it doesn't I don't know how that registers on the ratings. There's always these built-in excuses. And yeah, there's probably still a lot of people that glance at the wrestling product today. But if you're not religiously watching it to where the numbers on Basics TV are what they used to be, I feel that it's a lost audience. overall, the whole wrestling business. And Vito, my opinion, you tell me if I'm wrong, that's contributed to the style of what wrestling has become.
Exactly.
It's gymnastics, and although it does have its niche fan base who love it, casual fans don't like it. When I was in high school, Vito, you know who watched wrestling during the Attitude Era? Jocks, nerds, burnouts, preps. Everybody. It doesn't matter what kind of teachers. Okay. Now, I'm not saying everyone was a wrestling fan, but today, that group, nerds.
All right. Here's nerd stuff. Okay. Monday Night Raw, looking back on May 10th, 1999, 8.1 million people. Where did you go?
That was WWE. Was that Raw? You said May 99?
Yeah.
That was the height of the Attitude Era, and Vince Russo was still there.
Right? No.
And
He was still
Vince
there. And that was during the Monday Night Raws. And that's with ECW kicking in. And that was when Vito went to Monday Night Nitro, when they had the Nitro Wars.
Guys, you were a jack of all trades. You were at the Big Four.
I was there during the prime of wrestling at the time when people believed.
When were you in TNA? The early years when it was in Tennessee?
2004.
Were they still in Nashville, or did they move to Florida?
Still in Nashville.
Yeah, that to me, that TNA was the magic TNA. That was absolutely incredible run there. I like that. That's all I have for this week, Vito. Unless you want to say what's on Vito's mind, but I know you ran a long show because you did the stuff with Ben, so that's cool. Just say Merry Christmas.
You know what, guys? We brought a different perspective in. Virtue is still my main man, and I love Virtue. He will never be on the show. We just brought a little different concept from Ben Hameen. So we're going to be doing some different business. All right.
If I had to take a break for Ben, I'm not going to bitch about that because I got these kids over No DQ I got to take care of.
No.
I'm here every week.
It's not about anybody doing anything. We are trying to add content. That's what we're trying to do. Aaron Riff, he don't want to play ball with the BIGV from the LOG. He don't want none of Virtue and Vito. So, I mean, what can we do? We have to bring it to a different level. All right?
It overshadows him. That's why he doesn't want to be overshadowed.
Exactly. You know, he just wants to post, I love my girlfriend. And I just can't. All right, guys. We're going to close it up. Thank you very much for coming. Virtue, take it away.
So you can follow Big Vito on Twitter at the Big Vito Brand. You can go to thebigvitobrand.com and get all this great stuff because Getting Color is on Twitch every week. It's on Anchor. Vito and Noel do Mr. and Mrs. over on Vince Russo's brand. I do Virtue's brand, or Virtue and Vice, whatever I call it that given week, right here on the bigvitobrand.com. That's all I got, Vito. It's been another great discussion. I enjoy it.
Great discussion. Thank you for coming on as always. Virtue, I have to tell you, you have been doing an outstanding job. Nobody gives you credit, but I appreciate all your efforts here on the Big Vito Brand and Getting Color. I am so happy I started doing this show with you again. Thank you for being part of it, and running the behind the scenes with Noel Harlow. I know I'm just a star figure. I really don't have much say in things, but, thank you for both of you for doing this. We're trying to add new content. Everybody stay tuned. We got a lot of good things coming up. All right. And this is Big Vito and Virtue closing out the show. See ya. Wouldn't want to be you.
Later.